Joining me now on set, an old and dear friend, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, who is presently the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. First of all, it's a wonderful title.
Good to be with you.
And it's great to be with you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Let's start with your new responsibilities as head of the Judiciary Committee. The two most pressing items up front for you are what?
The attack on the First Amendment, this idea that we now believe, and we have, I think, strong evidence to show that the federal agencies have been actually targeting and going against the very people they're supposed to serve, we the people, the American citizen. That is, I think, front and center because it's an attack on speech. It's an attack on our most fundamental rights, fundamental liberties under the First Amendment. And then second, of course, is the border situation. We were just down there last week for a field hearing. By the way, I've been in field hearings before. We had to turn people away. We were in Yuma, Arizona. We had this large auditorium in the Yuma City Council building. 100 and some people could fit. We had to turn people away. They had to watch it on the screen outside. So that shows you how intense this issue is there and how we're now feeling it across the country with the fentanyl, with the increased crime and everything else. So those are the two issues that we're going to focus on in the Judiciary Committee.
Let me just follow up on those two issues. Did you have a chance to read former AG Bill Barr's op-ed yesterday in the Wall Street Journal? In a nutshell, he is saying, in order to fight the cartels who are sponsoring the people coming across illegally and certainly sponsoring the drugs and the fentanyl that are wreaking such havoc with American lives and families, in order to stop that or slow it down, we're going to have greater U.S. military intervention or at least actions inside Mexico. Your thought?
Well, and also when you designate the cartels as terrorist organizations, then what you can do with sanction activity, what you can try to do on their banking activity and everything else. But understand what happened in the central part of Mexico, probably 6-7 weeks ago. There was actually a shootout between the cartels and the government, and I mean, in Mexico. Now, if any of that ever begins to bleed across, God forbid, we don't want it to happen, but if that would happen in Texas or New Mexico or Arizona, something like that on our side of the line, that is frightening, but that's what's coming, it seems to me, hopefully not. So this is how serious it is. China sends the fentanyl to the cartels then bringing it to the United States, moving people, moving drugs, making tons of money, and disrupting the lives of now, with 5 million of illegal migrants in the last 2 years all across the country. So, yeah, we should designate them as a terrorist organization.
I mean, Barr mentions this, and you alluded to it just a moment ago. Basically, the cartels have their own army. Okay, so we may have to counter that. And the other thing that he and I talked about, a bunch of years ago, we wanted the illegals to remain in Mexico, okay? AMLO, the president, did not want it. So Trump said, okay, fine, I'm just going to slap billions of tariffs on you unless you do it. Now, that's the kind of tough stuff. I don't know. I miss it. Obviously, my former boss, you're a close colleague. But that's what we need now. That's the language that we understand.
All the difference. Strength in the Oval Office makes all the difference. We had it under President Trump. We don't have it under President Biden. Day one, Joe Biden said 3 things. Day one, January 20th, 2021. He said we're gonna stop the Remain in Mexico policy. We're gonna stop building the wall, and we're not gonna deport anyone for an immigration violation. So when people want to come to this great country, and you can't fault them for wanting to come, they know we won't have to wait in Mexico to have our claim evaluated. There's no wall to get over, and once we're in, which they're going to let us in, they're not going to deport us. Well, Shazam, who wouldn't come? So 5 million people have now come in the country, and we were in Yuma last week. We heard from the hospital administrator. We heard from the county supervisor about the cost to the education system. Hospital administrator told us this. He said there were citizens in their community, American citizens, who couldn't deliver children at the maternity ward because they were doing good Samaritan work and the right kind of work. Because illegal migrants were delivering their kids. They had to go to Phoenix or San Diego. That's how this disrupts life in our great country. So this issue is huge. We're going to pass legislation in the next few weeks out of the Judiciary Committee, get it hopefully through the House and then on to the Senate.
And another story on this. Breitbart ran a story on this, that the Bidens are speeding up the illegal pipeline. In other words, catch and release, and then they're making plans to spend a lot of federal money to house and help the released, whom you'll never see again. Now, that is just as nutty as a $3 bill.
And you know this, our Border Patrol agents on the border are actually now processors because they're just coming in. The administration has made a decision not to enforce the law. We want to try to strengthen the law by putting back in place those policies that worked. We had a sheriff come testify, our first hearing in the full Judiciary Committee, 38 years in law enforcement. He said 2 years ago was the best, most manageable situation we've ever had on the border. Today, it's the worst. So that dramatic of a shift in 2 years, imagine what it's going to be like in 2 more. So we're trying to do all we can.
Completely out of control. On the issue of weaponization, there's a story today. The Justice Department has declined to provide Trump with the normal presidential immunity that all other presidents have had, and that they will also provide Mr. Biden. Now, this is... I would say this is weaponization. And I would also say the idea that Trump himself incited violence again and again has been proven to be incorrect. But you're the chairman of Judiciary. This is all going to come up. What you thinking?
Yeah, no, you're right. And this is now what's this double standard, one set of rules for the elite connected class, a different set of rules if you're conservative, if you're Trump, or you're not the McCabe, Strzok, Page, Clinton, Biden team. Remember, Biden had this was in the Washington Post, Biden had a shared understanding, the Biden legal team, with the Justice Department on keeping quiet his classified document.
Right, yes.
Shared
right.
understanding. So this is what you expect from a Justice Department that has targeted parents, targeted Catholics, targeted pro-lifers, and of course have been targeting President Trump now for I don't know how many years. Yeah,
the Russian hoax continues. It's alive and well. Just shifting gears a little bit, it's not exactly your committee, but Biden is fixing to veto this ESG bill. And I want to say, not only does this is this going to wind up reducing retirement rate of return, which is the sole fiduciary ERISA responsibility, but also it's not just climate change, Jim Jordan. Don't forget, it's the DEIs, it's the equality,
equity,
inclusion, diversity, so that anything could go on this bill. And the Republicans have the right idea. They got some help from Democrats in the Senate for sure, and he's going to veto this.
It's crazy.
He's going to have to take on 150 million in retirees.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, first of all, this is the administration that gave us record crime, record spending, record inflation, record debt, and now they're going to say to the American people, oh, by the way, we're also going to reduce your retirement saving. I mean,
terrific.
Such a deal.
Terrific.
So this is how wrong. God bless a couple of Democrat senators who came over on our side. That's helpful because they got common sense. This is ridiculous. But this is the problem with this administration. Even if Joe Biden wanted to do the right thing, the hard left, which controls his party, will not allow it. They won't let him do the right thing on energy, which would really be the key. If we go back to being the dominant energy producing country on the planet, that would be the answer to the Ukrainian situation. I really think, because it's all driven by energy in Russia. So he won't do the right thing on energy, won't do the right thing on this ESG, because the left has a hold on that party, and they're crazy.
You know, the House Republicans, it's so interesting to me. So we're a month or two into the new year, and everyone was saying how McCarthy and you guys, no, you're all in disarray and you're at each other's throats. Kind of looks to me like it's the Democratic Party that's splintering here in major ways. This ABC WAPO poll is very interesting. The fact that these, I call them more normal Democrats, have voted more sensibly on the Washington, D.C. crime bill and the inflation impact bill. But, I want the Republicans running for president to show the country that they can be the stewards of a new prosperity.
Yeah.
Right? Working folks have jobs, but they're underwater because of inflation, and their take-home pay is going down. And you look at these polls, Gallup poll, et cetera, shows that they all feel like they're worse off than they were a year ago. And I want them to have an agenda. Yeah, you know, woke, I get woke. I get Walt Disney, I get building new cities and all the rest of this stuff. How about some old-fashioned blocking and tackling, like let's cut taxes, let's cut spending, let's cut regulations, let's reopen the energy spigots. I understand that elderly people, senior citizens like myself, may have to take a test to see whether we're mentally capable, but I don't think that helps the blue-collar family in the Midwest, in Ohio, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that the Republican leaders, the national guys, are not doing their job.
Well, here's the positive I see. I see a President Trump who went to East Palestine.
Yes,
Who showed this part of being a leader is showing you care and coming when tragic things happen. And President Trump was there, and I love that he was talking to the good people of our great state and showing up at McDonald's, buying Big Macs for people, showing you care. I think that is critical. And then leaving. Sarah Huckabee Sanders said it best.
Yes, she.
Right after the Biden State of the Union, when she said the divide today in America is common sense versus crazy. It's normal versus crazy, and we need to show President Trump was just being a good, normal American who cares about his fellow citizens showing up. Where crazy is crazy is defund the police, crazy is boys and girls sports, crazy is all the stupid policies they come up with, record crime, record employment, all these things. So that's how we have to talk and communicate and say we're for doing things in a common sense, normal way,
which will help people prosper and make them happier. Jim Jordan. I know you believe that.
Sure will. You were part of that. You made that happen in the Trump administration with your good policies that let moms and dads in East Palestine, Ohio, and all the rest of the country keep more of their money.
That's exactly right. I mean, it is great. Trump could have won the empathy vote by his very clever move. Biden wouldn't go near the place. Yeah. Buttigieg was a catastrophe when he showed up there. Anyway, I wish you all the luck in the world. It's great to actually see you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Jim Jordan, there is nobody better than Congressman Jim
You're
Jordan.
kind. Thank you.
Not then, not now, and not in the future.
Thank
all right?
You, brother.